Here and welcome to Inside Albania with me, Alice Taylor. This week I'm joined by two very special guests, MP Lavdërim Kurashi and Arni Demilia, a business owner from the UK, an Albanian who's been living in England for 20 years. We're going to be discussing several pressing matters such as the rights of the diaspora to vote, British politics versus Albanian politics, the importance of supporting your country from afar, and whether life really is greener or greyer in the case of the UK on the other side. So this week I celebrated my 6-year anniversary of coming to Albania. I first touched down in Tirana on the 21st of October for a 3-day holiday, and I never really left. Now, on the 22nd of October, I celebrated by taking part in the Tirana Marathon, and I met lots of Albanians who now live abroad and came back to run the race, and some that have left and then come back as well. Now, I decided to invite two of them to the studio to talk in depth about their choices and views on living abroad, progress in Albania, and the role and the rights of the diaspora. I'm joined online today by MP Lavdërim Kurashi and in the studio by business owner Arni Demilia. Good afternoon to you both.
Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting us.
Thanks very much for joining me. Lavdërim, I'm going to go to you first. Now, you're from Diaspora, but you lived in the UK for 20 years and you worked for Brent Council in London as a housing manager, if I'm not wrong. What made you return to England? It sounds like return to Albania. I mean, it sounds like you had your life set up there. What made you come back?
Well, when the country calls you, it's time to make a decision. And for me, having spent more than 2 decades in London, working for local authorities, various local authorities in London, I received a call to come and perhaps, compete to become a member of parliament, an offer which I accepted. I couldn't really refuse. And it's a call of duty, if you like. The time comes in your life when you have to come back to your own country and give your contribution here. Having spent many years working for public services in the UK, I think that I had a lot of things to offer, and I'd like to bring some Britishness into the Albanian political system.
What is that Britishness? I assume you don't mean tea and biscuits and things like that. What do you mean by Britishness?
More like, in my opinion anyway, more like a rule of law, end to impunity, transparency. They all come with a lot of effort. I know that there is no country that is perfect, but for me, having spent a long time in the United Kingdom, has taught me that regardless of your background, regardless of where you come from, who you are and what you have done or do in a country, there is no real discrimination, and you can achieve what you want to be, and you can do what you want to do and what you are capable of doing regardless of your background. So these are, for me, the themes that I would like to bring more into the Albanian political scene, which is, just to repeat myself, more transparency, more openness, more integrity of public servants, and, of course, developing the country in the right direction. Albania has had a tough transition from dictatorship into democracy. But having said that, sometimes we're very hard on ourselves because it has made huge progress since early 1990s. It is today a completely unrecognizable country if you were to compare it with the with the communist times, dictatorship times. So these are the things that I'd like to bring. I know we have a huge Albanian diaspora living abroad, and I'd like all of them to bring their experience into Albania so that we are on par, we are on the same playing level field, if you like, with other European nations.
Now, you mentioned, obviously, the rule of law. I read some statistics today from the World Justice Project that the rule of law ranking for Albania is actually, it's been getting worse over the last couple of years, despite ongoing reforms and pledges, etc. So I have two questions for you. Firstly, you've come back with this idea of Britishness and these objectives you want to pursue. What was the reaction you had sort of coming with all these ideas in the current context? And also, what was your impression of the status quo at the moment? Was it a shock for you seeing how things are?
Well, as anything new that happens to people in life, I mean, obviously I'm Albanian, so it doesn't come as a complete shock to me as if I were a foreigner, a British national, for example, in the sense of being born in the United Kingdom. But having said that, when I first came back 2 years ago, I had to get used to some different ways of even communicating like we are now over Skype. The way that public services are seen, perceived by the general public, but also by those who are public servants who get paid by the taxpayer to serve their community is slightly different. As I said, I've worked in public services for more than 20 years in the United Kingdom, and the way in which you must treat your customers is always with respect, with no discrimination, regardless of who they are, where they come from, etc. So in that sense, I have to, so far I have refused, and I'll continue to refuse to change who I am, because although I left Albania when I was a proper adult, really, I was 26 when I came to the United Kingdom. Most of my professional life is in the United Kingdom, and I'd like to bring some of, as I said, some of the ways in which public services are delivered in the UK. I want to bring that to Albania. I'm not saying that the UK is perfect. I'm not saying the European Union is perfect, but it's far different to that in Albania. I find that the Albanian political system is, I mean, we can see, to link it to your second question now, we can see where we are now. The situation is a political situation that is, it is really in a status quo. It's mainly because a lot of positive things have happened, i.e. the judicial reform, which is a very brave reform that the Albanian government and the Albanian politics in general, from across the spectrum really, undertook a few years ago. It is now starting to become operational. And for me, one of the best things that it has brought is people can see that there can be an end to impunity. So people who have gotten involved in things that they shouldn't have, they do realize that they have to pay a price now. But more importantly, it can serve as a deterrent for current public servants so that they do exactly what the public, the taxpayer, pays them to do, which is to serve the public rather than to serve their own personal and very narrow interests.
Now, you've worked in local governments in the UK and politics here, and you've sort of touched on it a bit, but when you came here, was it a bit of a culture shock in terms of how things work? I mean, I know you're Albanian originally, but the British system, as you mentioned, is very, very different. And you've come back here with this British sort of mentality in a way, and you want to apply it to a very different system. And I think it's fair to say, I've lived here for 6 years, corruption is ingrained in every part of society, from the taxi drivers to the people at the top. Was it a culture shock for you here? And have you had opposition, and I don't mean from Sally Berisha, I mean opposition against your British ideas?
Well, to be perfectly honest, Britishness, British politics for that matter, is very well liked amongst the Albanian community at large. So in that sense, I haven't felt any. But as you say, there is no perfect political system. There is no perfect public services anywhere in the world, or indeed private services in the world. But it does, for me, I have to readopt, and it may sound strange because this is my country, but I have to readopt with the way in which they do things in Albania. One thing that I have done, and I'm committed, I have promised myself that one thing I won't do is to change myself. I will continue to deliver services in the way in which I've learned to do in the United Kingdom when I was there as a public servant. And if that differs from the way in which they do them in Albania, it is my legal duty, of course, because as a member of parliament, our job is extremely easy. Only two things we have to do, which is to produce legislation that is in the national interest and in the interest of the electorate, people that have voted for me in my area. So as long as those two boxes are ticked, I'm fine. I can do anything. I can approve and agree to any legislation. But in a broader terms, as you mentioned earlier, yes, there is corruption. I don't think any country is free of corruption, but it is more notable in the Albanian society. Unfortunately, for more than 30 years, we've had this transition, which is taking longer and longer and longer and longer. And it has, in a way, it's the main thing, corruption is the main thing that holds the country back. However, I'd like to see the glass half full rather than half empty. And as I mentioned earlier, there are some brave reforms that the government of Albania has undertaken in the previous few years, but also politics in general. I'm very much hoping that even the latest developments in Albania will help it to have a better society, to have a society that is equal for everyone. So there should be no differentiation in the way in which the public is treated because of where they are from in Albania, or because of what political party they belong to, or their political beliefs, etc. So the justice system for me is the key. It will help to change, because it is the first time in Albania for the past 30 years, and obviously during a dictatorship it was a different matter, but it is the first time that the public is seeing that the judiciary is treating people equal. And that's what we are. We are equal in terms of law and how it is applied. So I'm very much hoping that, and I will do my utmost while I'm a member of parliament, to clear up the system. There are some of us, and it does hurt me, it does pain me to say it, but there are corrupt people since early 1990s in our system. Be it in political parties, be it in government, both local and national, but it is our duty to get rid of them and to clean up politics, because it is time for altruists to serve the country. There is nothing wrong with people who want to be rich and to make money. The only problem is that it's not the public sector when you do that, it's the private sector. So whoever wants to be a millionaire, billionaire, they need to go to the private sector. The public sector is a sector that serves the public. It serves the people.
Now, I want to just move on to one other topic. I have two more questions for you, mindful of your time. Now, as a Brit in Albania, people always say to me, what are you doing here? All Albanians want to go to the UK and you want to come here. Now, you've lived in the UK, you're Albanian, and you're back here now. Is life in the UK really as great as it's sort of made out to be, or some Albanians sort of think it is? And what are the big problems that are facing the UK that maybe we don't feel here in Albania?
Well, that's a key question, and I thank you for it, because in Albania what I find is that, well, there's that saying that the grass is always greener on the other side. So they think that once you make it to the United Kingdom, pavements are paved in gold, and money grows on trees, for example, and that is far from the truth. The truth is that you have to work hard, you have to, well, first of all, make it there in a legal way. I know how you feel because they say that to you, what are you doing in Albania as a Brit? They say that to me too. Why the hell did you come back to Albania? But for me, it's important that the message that is given to people is a message that it is hard. Wherever you are, you have to work hard. And I know we had that concern last year, where a large number of my countrymen made it to the United Kingdom illegally, uninvited. And if you're uninvited, I'm afraid you won't be welcome, in the sense that it is hard to find employment. It is hard to integrate within the society in terms of getting medical care, getting education, and getting other services, which are very important. Now, the UK, as we know, is one of the biggest economies in the world, really. It does have its problems. I know at present, for example, it's going through some issues. But for Albanians, the main message is that if you want to go to the United Kingdom, you can do so legally, not illegally. And we've actually seen, as a result of some measures that both governments, the Albanian and the British one, have taken in the past year or so, it has been followed by some agreements agreed by our two prime ministers, virtually, but also in person. Prime Minister Rama visited Mr. Sunak earlier this year, and they agreed on quite a number of things. As a result of those agreements, the number of illegal migration to the United Kingdom from Albania has fallen by 92% this year compared to last year. So I suppose the message from me is it's hard, because I can't say to people, don't go to the United Kingdom, because I'm one of those who made it to the United Kingdom, albeit legally. But if you need to go there, do so legally. But more importantly, there are opportunities in Albania. Both our governments are working very hard now. For example, the UK has left the European Union 5 years ago, technically only a year and a half ago, but it hasn't actually left Europe. And the United Kingdom has huge interests in the Balkans. And Albania is a great ally of the United Kingdom. Albanians love Britain and they love the British people. So I think there will be, or there can be, opportunities for us to have a bigger trade relationship between our two nations, between our two countries. I know again that 2 years ago, trade levels were extremely low. Well, they have trebled in the past 2 years, but it's still very moderate. It's only about £150 million a year. So there are opportunities. There are in areas such as tourism, for example, or infrastructure in general, including the energy production. There are ways which can help both our countries to increase their trade between the two countries, and help Albania and Albanians realize that they can actually build a future in Albania. There's nothing wrong with visiting. There's nothing wrong with going to other places. But the only way to go there should be legal, not illegal.
Now, I want to talk about one other matter, and that's to do with the diaspora. So Albanians who are living in the UK or in other parts of the world, Germany, the US, Canada, you know, there's more Albanians outside of Albania than there are inside Albania. And I want to ask you about diaspora voting. You know, we know very well that the Albanian economy is propped up in many ways by remittances from abroad, from the diaspora, and there is an ongoing movement to push for voting rights for Albanians who are living abroad in the general and the local elections. What is your view on this? Should the diaspora be able to vote in elections? Should there be any limitations or conditions on this?
In short, I know the question was long, but I completely get the question. Albania is a member of NATO. Albania is the doorstep of the European Union. And Albania, the Albanian parliament and other institutions must make sure that the huge Albanian diaspora abroad should have the right to vote for general elections. It's a different matter when it comes to local elections because there are local issues, but for general elections, elections that elect the parliament and elect the government of the country. It is time. There has been excuses raised for very many years, but now is time, in my opinion, to make sure that every Albanian who lives abroad can cast their vote where they are. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. Other nations have done it. It can be done. It should be done.
Why is it not being done? I've been here for 6 years and I've heard it rumbling on in the background for 6 years, but yet there's no progress. Why is it not being done?
Well, as they say, when lawyers get involved, it's a bit of an issue. So for 2021 elections, for example, the Albanian parliament has passed legislation to make sure that this is the case, this is done since 2021. However, there were some issues which was, I don't want to bore and to make the conversation, to derail the conversation really, but the fact of the matter is that in 2021 it wasn't realized. We have to make sure that it's done for 2025. There is work in progress in Parliament and in the elections committee. So I'm very hopeful personally that it will be done in the next general elections. But it does need political will, which we have now. We seem to have political will that the diaspora, Albanian diaspora from abroad, can participate in elections.
Lavdrim, thank you very much for your time and for all your answers, and I hope we will have a chance to discuss the impending diaspora vote before the next elections.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Arnie, thank you for listening to all that. Now, we discussed a bit off air as well about the diaspora vote. What are your views on this? Would you like to vote? Do you think, having lived in the UK for 20 years, you should be able to vote in Albania?
I think as every country's right, or every citizen's right, we should have the right of voting for the general election, as Lavdrim just mentioned it. My personal opinion is the only reason the Albanian government is denying these for us not to vote for is because they're scared, because they cannot corrupt us. And we will vote for what we feel is right or what is wrong. And we probably, pretty much most of us, we've got our own ideas.
And
in the end of the day, Albania is not theirs. Albania is all of us. So we are here at this present time. We're never going to be here, but we should have our right to vote for who is leading this country. It's very easy for them or for us to come over here and spend our money. They take our money, no problem, or the investments, we can come over here. But to deny to vote, I think that is utterly wrong. Even Kosovo, who's got 20 years, 23 years independent, even they managed to give that diaspora their vote, and this country has been going a lot longer, and they haven't done that. And my opinion, I'll repeat that again, it's only because they're scared, because we will vote who we think is right.
I think it would pave the way for the emergence of new parties as well, and it's the diaspora more outside of the internal workings in terms of what's on the media, the scandals, the he said, she said this. They have a different view, and this, I think, puts all political parties on a much more equal footing than if you're inside the country.
Absolutely. Diaspora has got a huge involvement in Albania and also around the world, even in UK. So I'm a part of Liberal Democrats activists in UK. I was a Conservative.
My mother is a Liberal Democrat.
So I gave that. So we, all of us, we've integrated on in the British, American or European lifestyle, but we all contributing there. So we know what is right and what is wrong. We could, I also was discussing it with the MP Lavdrim Krashli about the putting the idea to the Albanian government. Why does the Albanian government, just like copy the Kosovo's idea, bring some of these intelligent people who are, the UK is using these people by working over there, bring that intelligence over here by a month, 2, 3 months.
Yes.
So just to give the experience of the local people or the local government. So in any ideas, in law, in any sector of the works. So I personally could come and voluntarily work. I don't even want to be paid, and I don't need to be paid to come and work 1 month voluntary to come and work for my own people, for my own country. But they're not given this option to
like a skills sharing sort
anything,
of idea,
in any sector this country needs it. I you probably, as a British, you could see that as you just said, from the taxi driver to the lowest to the highest, they're all corrupt. No, the corruption is a short life. Corruption is a cancer in this country,
It is.
and it is spreading every sector of it. So it's very easy to point to the government. It's not the government's fault. It's everybody else's fault, not just one person.
I hate it. You sat in a coffee shop and you hear someone complaining about how corrupt XYZ politician is, but at the same time, they own a shop and they don't declare all their taxes. But that's still corruption. You're still part of this culture of impunity, of normalization, of desensitization to corruption.
I see that even it is within the Albanian culture. Unfortunately, even when you drive on the road, people just they think they own the road, and not that you pay the road tax to drive that vehicle in the road, and it's just pretty much the idea. So, yes, I think I still stand to the idea of I don't say to the left or the right of the politicians in Albania is their fault. No, it's no one's fault. It's just the general's fault. But they should, my opinion, right now, the Albanians, they've integrated in so many sectors in UK, in America or in Europe. Please invite these people back over here.
Their wealth,
use their knowledge, use their ideas, use their experience. Like Mr. Lavdrim Krashi, the MP of Dibra, I'm going to say he's being ignored here in Albania. They use this person. He's left his family to come over here to burn his maximum.
And he believes what he's saying. It was very refreshing for me to hear.
He thinks just the way we think. We agree. We all agree. But he's been ignored because they said, you must be crazy. Why are you coming to Albania? So when is this Albania going to be joined? You want to become part of Europe? How are you going to become part of Europe? By using the communism system? By being corrupt? No, Europe will not accept you. I'm not saying that Europe is not corrupt, but not in this stage of the way it's over here.
Now, you left Albania. Well, you've been in the UK for 25 years. If you don't mind me asking, why did you leave? And do you ever regret that decision?
I left Albania on the 1990s. No, I never regret. I did risk my life just like many other people who moved there. We didn't have many options at that time. Albania was a lot poorer than it is right now. If you asked me today, would I leave Albania today? For what I know, absolutely no. And the reason is why you'd say I could make more money here in Albania than I make in UK. Because I use my knowledge, what I've learned in life, what I've learned outside Albania in UK, and I could bring that back and use it over here. Why do I not come back to Albania? I've got young kids, my wife is English, and that's the only thing that holds me over there. But
I've got young kids, I'm English, I'm all right.
True. But,
sounds like an excuse to me. No, I'm joking, of course. You have a long established life there, you've lived there longer than I've lived there.
My business is over there, so
yes,
I belong over there. If I'm over there, the businesses have to be shut down.
Yes.
Start another business when I've already got one.
Yes,
businesses over there. I rather stay to the place. Hopefully, I'll come over here on my retirement.
Now, so you're very settled in the UK, but you are, and you remain very connected to Albania. We discussed previously, you were on my show virtually last week. We were talking about you raising a lot of money for Albanian charities in the Tirana Marathon. You've been involved in a lot of things here from afar and when you visited as well. Can you talk to me about some of the ways that you are connecting with your homeland, that you're helping out, and some of the obstacles you faced in trying to do this?
I think as an individual person, as a businessman, but mainly as an individual, as in all of us Albanians in UK or around Europe, we've got our duty to, even if you could donate €1, one coffee, as I said to you in the last program, to this country. It's not that you're throwing it away, but you're bringing it back to your homeland. So I feel I've been part of many charities, not just the Albanian one. I've done the cancer research, the British Heart Foundation in UK. So I like to help when I can help other people. So helping Albania, I feel like motivation. It motivates me to try and do something good, and I feel great until you do it, no one will understand that. Why Down Syndrome Albania is Down Syndrome Albania is one of the charities I was introduced by a friend of ours, and I'm happy and really proud of helping these people and helping this community. But I'll be open for other charities.
You've been involved in sort of touristic initiatives as well, if I understand correctly, but you've had a few difficulties there.
No, really. I was as Mr. Lavdarim, who knows, I was the only person I was in contact. I was the person who bought the Condé Nast travel magazine, was posted by the Prime Minister of Albania.
The biggest travel magazine in the world.
This magazine is one of the biggest traveling magazine in the world. It's got 33.5 million people that read this magazine monthly. I was totally ignored from all the Albanian leaderships.
They didn't even repost the article?
The Prime Minister and the Minister posted the article. Probably they didn't know who brought them over here. And what motivates... So the way I go, like, what is going to make me to motivate to bring them back again here? None, zero. So I'm in really close contact to a very good friend of mine who is the director of Royal Caribbean Cruises. I've emailed the Minister of Tourism of Albania, no reply. I Instagrammed her just instead. She uses the Instagram and Facebook, no reply, completely
Did you try WhatsApp? That's how most things are done here.
I don't have phone numbers for WhatsApp. That's
we'll try and find it for you. WhatsApp is how things are organised.
But
that's a shame. You know, I mean, this is a huge international company. With massive. The port development in Durrës, in Saranda, in Vlora, there's huge potential there.
Is massive for Albanian and massive for the British, for the Albanian economy. But no one is pushing me to do these things. I'm doing it voluntary. I'm doing it because this is my land. And then when someone asks me about Albania on my business, my everyday business, I'm very proudly of like telling them the reality, and then how the reality is, because the people they see it in England, they think they got different opinion of the Albanians, and in Albania they got different opinion of England, and none of these two are the same.
Now, this is something we'd mentioned before. Last year, when there was the immigration situation going on, lots of Albanians were going to the UK. There was a bit of a reputation crisis with Albanians. And I mean, I've told this story many times. I called up about my daughter's passport to the British Home Office and was told, oh, another Albanian after a British passport, you know. And for someone to say that so casually whilst at work, it was... How was that period for you, sort of this time last year?
I think as we spoke together a while ago about the being being offended basically by the Home Secretary of British Home Secretary. That was very unprofessional for her, and I think she hasn't just offended the Albanian community, but she's offended many other communities right now. There's a debate there. The Albanians that move into UK, I don't really see why. I don't see why people are moving because they're desperate. Also, I could actually point the finger to the local government. What future has this country without the young generation? What are they doing? What's the progress they doing to invite this young generation to stay here? I can't see any, zero. So on the other aspect of that, if I was young, 21 years old, 18, why would I leave Albania? If you're going to come to England, what are you going to do? You're going to work. If you work hard, you're going to make a good living. But if you work hard in Albania, you can make a good living as well. So coming to England, as Lavdarim just mentioned over there, illegally, you can't not even have, you can't rent a house, you can't rent a room, you can't get paid by cards, you got no bank account, you got no health care system. You basically...
You don't exist.
You don't exist as a human being. So why would you want to risk yourself to come over there? For what for? It's like, I get many people, I go from many commissioners, as I just spoke to you early, police commissioners, saying to me, why Albanians are the highest drug dealers in London over there? And it's a very simple answer to me, basically. UK, if they could just lower the the standards of what they're asking for the Albanians to come to the UK so they can work legally, it would benefit both of them. It would benefit.
There's a skills shortage in the
It's
UK.
massive.
They're crying out for staff.
We're crying out loud for any sectors, and all the staff, all the farmers. Everyone is crying out loud. We've got no skilled
But it's
people.
not farmers, IT, hospitality, transport, manufacturing,
Absolutely.
everything from manual work up to highly skilled work.
It will benefit. Coming back to the point, it will benefit the British government by collecting taxes. It will benefit again to the local business people by using their money. You benefit to landlords by renting their houses and renting their rooms. So you benefit, and then also that money will come back to Albania. So I think they start push to the government of Albania with UK. They are a bit stubborn. But eventually they will understand the reason, because everything makes sense. The other point I want to mention is I've spoken to the ex-ambassador of Britain in Albania, and
Duncan?
no, Duncan, the previous one,
Okay.
before we met one evening. And UK, basically, I know Germany has got like a college here in Tirana who trains young students and nurses. And as soon as they are qualified, it takes them away and uses them in their sector. Why can Britain not do the same thing? And just like you get the brightest people and you use it at places you really desperately need.
But then Albania loses out as well.
True.
We desperately need doctors and nurses
Absolutely.
here.
Yeah.
This is a
That's the government's fault over here. Like, again, I don't want to point anyone left or right. This is the government's fault. They should Kosovo just see how Kosovo is advancing a lot better than Albania, and they are 23 years democracy. So get some. What's the program for the young people to stay here? What's the government's program? I can't see anything. So if you ask any Albanian outside in a coffee, they all want to get out of Albania. Why? What's the reason? There's a problem of it. There's a problem in society. There's a problem on the politics, and they have to clear all this corruption. There's only way forward. There's no other way forward. They cannot stay
We need more
forever.
love dreams to come in.
I literally written down over there. I plead to the Albanian government. You need people like Lavdrim. You need these people to recognize them. We need, as the Albanian in Britain, if Lavdrim comes and represents me over there, I feel proud. I'll follow him.
Yes.
But if I get like a corrupt Albanian person who comes to UK and represents me, I feel embarrassed because I know his story, I know his background. All of us, Albania is a very small country. It's like what one town of like East London is the entire Albania, even smaller. So in Albania, you know everyone. You just ask about someone's name and you can get all the information.
Oh, they're my cousin, or
That's it, or related. So we need people like Lavdrim. We need these people. Don't let them just to represent like the Dibra, but get these people to represent Albania. Get these people out there. Get these people to fight with corruption. And then again, use this diaspora intelligence. Bring them over here. Bring them in a monthly, 2 months, 3 months experience. Learn from these people. Teach these people, because you cannot corrupt us. They cannot corrupt us. We will tell them, and we will just walk away and go back where our lives are. Or if we find somewhere we can benefit over here, then we move in just like you did.
Ani, thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you, Alice.
I hope people listen to this and are maybe inspired to come back, to bring their knowledge, to bring their skills, to demand the diaspora vote, because I agree with you. I think this is the only way that things are going, not the only way things are going to change, but how things will change more quickly.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for tuning in to Inside Albania. You can watch us every week at 5 o'clock on Euronews Albania on our YouTube channel, and you can listen on all major podcasting platforms. Miropaftim.